Okay, how you doing today?
All right.
Doing okay? Okay, so I saw that you had looked through all that informed consent and paperwork and everything that we had for you. Do you have any questions regarding that before we move on?
No.
Okay, excellent. So tell me a little bit about what brought you here today.
Recently remarried my ex-husband, which is the father of my child, my 8-year-old daughter, and we're just not getting along like I thought, we would.
Not as harmonious as you thought it
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was gonna be like cake and candy, but I was really just hoping we wouldn't fall back into like the things that kind of broke us before.
would. Okay. Okay. Can you give me an example of one of those past things that you fear may happen again, and then maybe a little bit about an example of the communities, the issues you're having now, so I can see if there's some connection.
Before there was a lot of resentment. I mean, we went through a lot of things. We got married when I was 18, he was 19. We were in the military in training, and it was kind of, a situation where he was going to be stationed in Germany. I was going to be stationed at Fort Hood, and so we were dating. The only way to kind of like stay together was to get married, and so and I was the one that kind of pushed the issue. He had talked about it to some other people, and just never talked to me about it, and time was like running out, and so I was like, what are we gonna do? So we ended up getting married. Been through a lot of things. We did plan on having a baby. I admit, that was, I love my daughter to death, but I was 18, 19 years old. I don't even know what I was doing. So we made, some choices that weren't thoroughly thought out.
You think maybe due to your age, probably?
Due to age,
just maturity level?
Yeah,
Okay.
all of that. And so as time went on, we, I started to resent him. I don't even know, what he went through, but I started to resent him, and at the time I wasn't even like my own person, if that makes sense.
Okay, your own person. Can you maybe explain that to me a little bit? What do you mean by your own person?
I was still really young, and I think my childhood and my background kind of kept me from growing into who, ultimately, like who I'm supposed to be or going to be.
Okay, so maybe you felt like you were trying to play a role or be a person that you aren't now, or
I was
wasn't going to be.
Mm-hmm. I was very influenced. I could be influenced easily by anything. I didn't know exactly, what I liked, what I liked to do, what I wanted in my life, any of those type of things. I had no like concrete.
Okay.
Really any concreteness about me at all.
That must have been kind of scary.
Yeah, and then we going through the divorce. It was really kind of tough because I didn't want a divorce. I honestly don't even think I know if I wanted to be married, but I knew I didn't like what was going on.
You knew you wanted change.
I wanted change, and I couldn't continue to allow him to do the things that he was doing. And, probably a lot of that also comes from, growing up. My dad was really abusive and those type of things. And so I felt like really controlled.
Okay.
And now I felt like I was in a situation where no one could control me. Now I'm determining how my life is. So whereas
how empowering. That must have been great. That whole realization of I am my own person and I can make my own choices.
I mean, yes and no. When I was a kid, I felt like my life is shitty and it's beyond me, and there's nothing I can do, and I just have to wait it out. And there's always a magical, 18 and all of that. And now, here I was married and in a situation where I decided if I was going to let this continue or not. And for me to let it continue was like, you're doing this to yourself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. Everything in me has always, from the time that I got out of parental supervision, I guess.
The home you grew up in, when you got
Yeah.
away from that whole idea, you gained some independence.
I never could let anyone, you know, wrong me, is how I used to look at it.
Okay.
But, and that would come off super harshly sometimes, you know, attacking someone verbally or something
Mhm.
like that. Now it's a little more tame, and, you know, sometimes I let things slide off, but being married was kind of something you can't just let slide off, you know,
Yeah.
you make a choice. And so, he wasn't doing hardly anything in the house. It was kind of just like, he was there, but he wasn't.
Okay.
He didn't really take care of our daughter. He let some really bad things happen to her. He made some really bad choices. He was drinking a lot, and during some of those times that he was drinking a lot, there were a lot of bad things that happened that I couldn't put up with or let, you know, that wasn't my standard of living. When I came out of the home with my, you know, my parents in foster care and adoption, and I came out of that, I decided that, you know, when I have kids, it's going to be like, this is what it's going to be like. It's going to be completely opposite from this. And it was very extreme, you know. I want it to be exactly like this, and exactly not like that.
But I mean, it's a great thing for you to recognize the bad parts of your childhood and your great concern for making sure that your daughter does not go through the same things that you went through.
Right.
So when some of I'm assuming when some of those things occurred and some of that environment came around her, that must have been like a big red flag for you.
It was. And, you know, I never want her to grow up feeling or going through any of the things that I went through, because I don't think it's fair, you know, for any, not even just a child, any person. It's not really fair for them to feel like they have no control,
Mm-hmm.
or like, you know, my life sucks and there's nothing I could do to change it, because, you know, that's how kids feel.
Yeah.
And you have to advocate for them, and that's so, you know, I'm the only person here for my daughter, and I'm going to make sure that some of those things don't happen.
But it is wonderful that that's what you took away from the bad parts of your childhood. It's great that you took away, I'm going to be an advocate for my daughter. That's a wonderful place to be.
Yeah.
So you've kind of given me a really good idea of the background and how you came to the first divorce. So can you give me an example of some of the current? You said, you know, things aren't exactly like you thought they would be. What's different? How did you think it was going to be?
I was hoping, I didn't know what it would be, but I was hoping that it would be like a nice progression into what I thought we should have been,
Okay.
which was not a picture perfect family, because nobody is perfect, no relationship is perfect.
No, absolutely not. You're right.
But like a loving, active family, you know. We don't talk a lot.
Okay.
He's hardly home. He's a drill sergeant, so he's gone all the time. When he is home, he's super selfish. It's about football every day of the week. It's about playing video games. It's about, you know, him going to buy a new gun and shoot it at the range. Sometimes he comes home early, and this is somewhat entertaining to me. He comes home early and he'll say, "Where are you guys? Like, we're supposed to be home." And I text him and tell him that we're at cheer practice.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even know our daily routines. He doesn't even know that our child has cheer on 2 certain days out of the week.
It's gotta
Things
be
like that.
frustrating.
I mean, there's all this behind the scenes stuff. Like right now, he's been at work all day. He probably has no idea where our child is, because I had to coordinate, you know, when I'm supposed to be somewhere and when I'm supposed to be doing something, I have to take care of that. So if he were to come home, right now he would text me and ask me, "Where are you? What are you guys doing?"
Wow.
Like, you know, that these are things that we do
Mhm.
every day at a certain time, you know, and it's just beyond me to think that he lacks involvement at that.
At that level,
Yes.
to not even know, like, you know, when your daughter has cheer practice. God, it's gonna be really frustrating for you, and make you feel kind of alone in this in some ways. Like you don't, like you're. Almost like single parenting if you're handling everything by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I single parented for a couple 4 or 5 years, and so I don't feel like it's much different. I actually kind of feel like he came in and messed up our routine. Like, it almost was a joke. Like, oh my gosh, I miss you guys, and I would do so much to have, or I would do anything I can to have you guys back in my life. And so I'm like, are you serious this time? You know, and so things were a little bit different. And so we got back into this, and he had these orders to move here. And then in the midst of him having the orders to move here, I'm working on a graduate program at Texas A&M, and I am 36 hours in, 12 hours left, supposed to graduate in 2 semesters. And he says, well, do you want to get married and come with me? And to me, it was a really big, kind of a leap, maybe. It was a lot to think about because I had invested so much in this graduate program here, my life here. I had a routine, you know, and I struggle with OCD, and so to me, a routine is, I need a
Very
routine.
important. Yeah.
To know what I'm doing and where I'm going, and
Gives
all
you a
of
comfort,
this.
doesn't it, to have that
Yeah.
routine?
So, you know, I made a really big move to come here with him, get married, come here with him, leave, you know, everything that we had going on there, and find new friends. Hurry and rush into not even a program, into a class that I needed. And that was a lot because it was probably the week that classes started. And so, you know,
It's very hectic.
forget trying to get into a graduate program. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't even, at that point, it wasn't even an option. It was right now you take classes, you continue with the classes to progress on to where you need to be and to finish the program that you're in right now, and hopefully that works out. But I don't think he, you know,
Do you think maybe he doesn't respect what a big leap of faith that was for you and how
maybe,
difficult it was?
yeah. And right now there's a couple of times he doesn't stress this often because he knows it bothers me, but he'll say something like, well, you're at home all day, or you don't work all day. But there are things that I do all day.
You run the household.
I do run the household all day. I'm taking care of all these things. You know, we still kind of just moved here a few months ago, so we're still just
settling
getting
in.
settled
Yeah,
in.
transitioning.
New doctors, that our daughter has ADHD, so she sees a psychiatrist, she sees a counselor. We're struggling with that because that's brand new to us within the past year, and so we're trying to figure out how to make her manageable throughout the day and be able to, do things as a normal child. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and I haven't found the time to be comfortable enough to actually look for work.
Okay.
It's not that I don't want to, and it's not that it's not out there. I'm sure it is, and I would love to, but there are just so many things on my plate right now that I'm like, seriously? But I almost feel like I have to get a job for him to feel like he has to clean up after himself.
It sounds like you feel extremely overwhelmed and
Yeah.
like you're doing a lot of this by
I know that's
yourself.
a lot.
And then on top of that, it's like he doesn't respect everything that you do. And he's not the support system that you need him to be right now.
Yeah.
So we need to wrap things up for today, but why don't you put some thought into really what it is you want to address as far as you and your husband's relationship. And I can hear you have some fears and some concerns that you're going to fall back into old patterns, and you're already seeing some of that behavior, so that's going to be scary. But why don't you just put some thought into what it is you want to work on and what it is you'd like to be different. Like what change in your current situation would make things better, okay? And we'll talk about that next week.
Okay.